Alrighty folks, so I got to do a few more things on this passenger side suspension here and get it wrapped up. But I kind of took a break from it. I was getting a little too stressed out, frustrated with it. So it was a nightmare, but it is pretty much all together. But now I'm working on trying to address some of these other issues that have been going on and kind of doing this for peace of mind. So I went ahead and pulled off the front passenger side brake line, and I'll show y'all just in a second that. But it comes around, kind of loops around and comes underneath this A-arm alongside the frame. It's got a clip right there, and it comes on down here and goes around, and it's another clip right there. Can't really see it. It's below the horn. There it is. And then we got another one right in the middle, right there in the middle of the screen, right there. And then we got another one right there underneath the horn for that radiator hose right there. And then it comes on around here on the frame, and it goes behind this A-arm up underneath this alignment bolts here where you can adjust alignment. It goes up underneath them, and then it ties down in there, in this area. And it's actually a T. So I got a T for this brake line. It's actually this brake line right here, not this copper one, but this one right here. It's a T fitting I threw in there, so it splits off. It's got one line on top from the master cylinder that goes straight down to it, and then it splits off into two. So it's just a T fitting. One goes to the driver's side, one goes to the passenger side. And then the original brake line, the front to rear brake line, I just threw a union in it down there. Now we're going to correct this too, but it's correct for now. But there is a union beside the steering box right there, and that goes to the front to rear brake line. And I'm wanting to replace the front to rear brake line as well. It's still the original front to rear brake line. This car is still stops fine, but actually it's the best vehicle I got as far as drum brakes go. I mean, this car stops on a dime. Between this car and my Chevelle, when I did drive it, I mean, it, boom. I mean, this thing stops beautiful, smooth, doesn't pull. And if it did, that was the front suspension related. But this is where we're at. So I'm going to replace the front to rear brake line, and I'm trying to address this passenger side brake line. Let me show you what that looks like, because there are no videos on this whatsoever. That's why I'm making it. Okay, so I got it out very carefully, and I didn't mess nothing up whatsoever. It's not really that hard of a bend. Maybe a little bit difficult right in here on this area. But this is the passenger side wheel. The hose connects to it, goes straight down to the wheel cylinder, and it comes all the way around, like I said, loops all the way around, across the cross member right in front of your radiator, lower radiator support. That little cross member goes in between the frame rails, right through there, and then it's got some clips on it. It comes on around, and then this end right here, excuse me, sorry about that, but this end right here ties into that T. And this, I don't like this right here. Not really too thrilled about that way that looks, but I actually didn't do that. It's just the way it is. Just a regular 3/16 brake line. That's all it is. Actually, all the brake lines on that car originally are 3/16 brake lines anyway, so you could get you know, 2 rolls of 3/16 brake line and pretty set. So for 50 bucks you can do it all. They don't really make a pre-bent, quote unquote, brake line kit. I tried it. I bought it for a 58 Edsel, and it's pretty much useless, because I mean, it's the only ones I was even able to use was like the ones for the rear end, and that was it. The front to rear brake line, and they're all still 3/16, but they're a little bit different, and some of them were either way too long or way too short. I could have made it work, but you know, I just rather just make it by hand. So that's what I ended up doing. I actually gave it to a buddy of mine, and he needed some 3/16 brake line. So that's where we're at. So I'm gonna go ahead and bend this up. Hopefully it won't be too awful bad. I don't think it will be. And I got it off. Just take your time with it. You could take it off very carefully, and then I'll match up my new brake line and bend it up as close as I possibly can. That way when I put the new brake line on, you know, I don't risk kinking it or anything like that. But I wanted to make sure I could get this off without, you know, having a bunch of issues, and I got it off. Now you will have to remove the radiator. I did have to do that because it's just no way possible anyway that you can get that off without, you know, I mean, you could put a union in it and split it and flare 2 ends and put a union right here and do it like that, but I don't like doing it like that. It's kind of halfway doing it, and I want as less fittings as possible and as much of a one-piece brake line as possible. You don't want a lot of fittings because kind of chance of either leaking or, you know, it's not a good idea. But that's what we got here. So I'm gonna get my roll of 3/16 and make it up, and we'll go from there.